G'day, this is Simon from the Bracketeer at South OC Cars and Coffee, and I'm with Stephen, who has a very special car of the week. Not only is this probably the cutest car we've ever had as car of the week, I think it has probably the best story I've ever heard. Stephen, what is the car?
So it's called a Trabant 601S.
And where does it come from?
It comes from Eastern Europe, like East Germany, Hungary, that area.
It is so cool. Let's swing the camera and have a look and hear this great story from Stephen, which is absolutely awesome. So as I said, this is probably the cutest car we've ever had as car of the week. I probably think it's probably got the lowest horsepower as well. What is the horsepower of this car?
Horsepower on the car is 26 horsepower.
Do you think they're big horses or little horses?
Very little.
Very little horses. Yeah. But what I love about the story, I read your story on this car. Stephen, give us a brief overview of why you bought the car and what the history behind it is.
So a little bit of the history of the car is I'm Hungarian. My parents are Hungarian, and so we have that European background. And as a child, my dad actually had one as a childhood car. So it was something where it had meaning towards him.
Right.
So it's something where a few years back when we visited Hungary, I promised him a couple years ago that I would bring one back home and have one here in the States at home.
Right.
So it's something where I found one a couple months ago and I just couldn't pass it up given the condition and the story and everything.
So this car has how many kilometers on it?
It has 15,000 kilometers, which is 9,000 miles.
Yeah, and I mean, it looks like it inside. I mean, look at this interior. This is insane. This thing is so straight and such low mileage. Who owned the car, do you know?
So the previous owner, he was an older German man who just brought it back in 2014, imported it in, and he kept it inside at a mall on an exhibit.
Oh, wow.
But then the original owner back in Germany from 1986 to 2014, he kept it in the garage and only took it out when the weather was good, and you could tell by the condition of the car.
Oh, I mean, it's such a special car. So what did your dad think when you brought the car over here eventually? What was his response when he first saw it?
He was speechless, and he still is speechless to this day, just given the condition of the car.
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, when you look at the car and the condition, sorry about the noise, by the way, that's a GT350 going past us. Don't be confused, that is not this car making that making that noise. Speaking of that noise, let's have a look under the hood. Or actually, let's call it what it's supposed to be, the bonnet. Although, what would they call the bonnet in Hungary? Do you know that? I don't know what they'd even call a bonnet in Hungary. Yeah. There it goes. Now, prepare yourself, folks. You've seen LS transplants. You've seen Coyote transplants. Prepare. Wait, is there an engine in there? Ah.
It's down there.
Now, luckily, we got a zoom lens, and we can get right down in. Look at this thing.
You see the two sparks.
Look at the two spark plugs. But I love the fact that the engine's actually wrapped in vinyl, and then it's got this big air cleaner on the front, and all of this obviously is so that it runs well in cold weather.
This tube right here, that's the AC.
That's the AC, right?
And this is the heat condenser to heat up the air going through, and that's your heater.
And can I ask what that is up there?
That is the fuel tank.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
This is the fuel gauge.
Look at that is the fuel.
Dip it in.
I love it. I love the fact that they put the fuel tank right over the top of the engine, because, you know, if you spring a leak in the thing, why wouldn't you want to have the fuel gauge working there? So we're just going to jump around the side if we can and look more at this car. This thing's amazing. While we're looking at this, Stephen, I want you to talk about you have an apparel company.
Yes.
And it's for charity as well. Can you share a little bit of information about that?
So my brand called Typical Clothing, it's something where I advocate mental health.
Yep.
And all that, and with a percentage of every sale, I actually give back to nonprofit organizations to kind of push after mental health and give back to that, because that's something big with me, and something that people don't realize is big in the world right now.
Oh, absolutely it is.
It's something where physical health isn't the only thing you should be worrying about.
No, and when we think about mental health, it affects all sorts of things. It can be the catalyst for domestic abuse or violence. It can be the catalyst for homeless. It can be just debilitating for so many people, and it is not regarded with the same level of attention as someone who has a physical disability, because it can't be seen. So, Stephen, what's your website if people want to buy the apparel?
It is typicalclothing.com, and that's spelled TYPCL clothing.com.
Excellent. And you've got an Instagram page as well, haven't you?
I do.
Yeah, excellent. So make sure to check that out. Well, look at this beautiful little car. congratulations, and mate, well done on finding this thing. Just one last walk around. When I read your story on Instagram, I just couldn't believe what you'd gone through to find this original car like your dad had. And because you've got our car of the week, Stephen, you've got this complete kit from Maguire's. Big thank you to the Maguire's guys, with polishing sponge, cleaner wax, scratch remover, car wash, glass cleaner, interior detailer, and hot shine foam. You can keep this beautiful, beautiful little car in the pristine condition it is. Congratulations, mate.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.